Hello out there, and happy weekend. I don't know, do you say something like this? We say have a nice week, or have. Okay, we actually don't say anything like it in German either. We say pretty much enjoy your weekend. Okay, nevertheless, it's a good thing I don't edit those videos, isn't it? I just watched the 2 hour plus recording of the live stream, a moment with Dr. Wolf answering live with Tarek and Finn, the pony, and stuff like this. And yeah, and there was a few thoughts that created for me. So I was like, well, I'm leaving a comment over there, pretty much summing a little bit up of my impressions, but I also wanted to give a little bit more of elaborate feedback or a more personal one. Let's say it like this, because in 95% of the time when I leave a comment somewhere, I leave it as my internet persona. And while I would be lying saying that I am completely natural in this kind of vlog thingies, I'm more myself. I'm not scripted. I haven't planned out anything. I'm really just sitting here in front of a webcam, and it's not much different than I talk to other people. Not much, but it's still a camera and I react to it in a different way, and I'm still putting on a little bit of a persona. But yeah, what I wanted to say is in 90% of comments, I'm a persona. Either I'm role-playing as ANY, or on Opinion Counts, I'm probably a little bit of a scholarish thingy I am having going on there when I respond to people, and being more snarky than I am in real life. Because when I'm like this, I'm more like clowny random person, whatever. Video on my other screen. That's why I'm pointing there. So a few things. First of all, I I was one of the people who didn't know that Dr. Wolf was married. I guess it is still a sensitive topic, or the things that led me to this belief are a little bit of a sensitive topic, considering his moment with Dr. Wolf, with Tarek, where he's actually more talking about himself. But so I don't really want to go into it right here and start speculation discussion. So yeah, I kind of assumed he's single. I mean, he has the time to make all those videos. I'm pretty much considering that once I get back into a relationship, my productivity will drop even further. Oh god, I'm already feeling how people out there are wishing, hopefully he stays single forever. Shame on you. Shame on you. To wish away my happiness for your entertainment. Nevertheless, where was I going? And the other thing is, well, in his video, I mean, in the live stream, he also openly addressed it, so I don't think I have to talk around it myself either. So yeah, his wish for children also made me kind of assume single. That's what I meant with sensitive, because what are the reasons that there aren't children when they are married? So there are probably some sensitive reasons for this. So or there are reasons for it, and they are very personal. So Dr. Wolf, if you're watching this, I don't want an answer. This is your private thing, and I don't want this answer in a public comment section, like here. So because it seems, I just assume maybe there is a completely mundane reason for it, and I'm making a drama out of nothing, but I simply have to assume that there is probably a very, very personal reason behind it, and I don't want to be the cause for exposing it here. Just basically, just what I want to say, I was like, huh, what do you know? He is married. Good for you. Definitively good for you, having found your person and being able to get this far. Something so far I haven't managed. Anyways, not turning this into my own soul exposure thingy like you did with your brother in the video, which was actually at least somehow scripted, so you had a certain control over your wordings and stuff like this. What else? Okay, another one which probably is for you viewers a little bit more interesting is when he talked about, or both of them, Tarek talked about it much as well, a lot as well. So when they both talked about video gaming and getting out of your comfort zone and seeing like, hey, creating something that lets you get bigger as a person, or spending 2 hours playing a video game. And the thing was I was playing a game while watching it, and I felt so busted. I was like, oh man, because really in the way that they have a good point. To explain a little bit, I actually considered it a little bit of a step forward when I started playing video games more. This sounds very convoluted at first. Up until the middle of season 4, I spent a majority of my free time for this channel, but I did it with the wrong motivation. I did it not like, for example, Dr. Wolf with the motivation to help people to improve himself. I did it to fulfill demand, which also led me to do those horrible vlogs. I'm fine with those vlogs, because those vlogs are just, hey, it feels good to make them. The other vlogs I created for episode talks and stuff, most of them I did out of the feeling that I have to deliver, I have to keep myself relevant. People want my opinion on on new episodes. I have to deliver stuff like this, and because out of this feeling of duty, out of this feeling of owning it, maybe even a little bit owning it to people. This sounds hard, but this probably is one of the aspects that made me do this, and. So because that was pretty much where I lost my spirit mid-season 4. And getting out of this feeling of having to produce a video every now and then, having to do it, I considered spending time for myself and playing games actually a step up, because I was doing something out of personal interest, out of enjoyment, and not out of having the feeling the not real, but kind of in my head it was real. It felt real to me. Need to please people, to give them what they want. So I considered playing games a step up, but now I reached the point where I'm like, what did I do this weekend? Playing games. So I went too far into the other direction now, and this is a good thing that I watched the live stream of Dr. Wolf, because it was, and I played at the time, and I really, really felt so like, he got me good. And so what I want to go with this is like, he has a point. It is to a certain point. It is a measure of changing your habit. I will probably not. I don't know if I will come back into the episodic thingy. I mean, I have plans for it. The weekly episodic reviews. I have something planned out, and well, I already mentioned it on another forum, the King of Limbo podcast I was on. So my plans will probably go into the direction of doing collabs with for each episode, like being like, hey, and I don't want to hear anything about it now. I will make an official video on the on the entertainment channel, and I will also explain the quote-unquote rules I want to do it by, because you need certain guidelines. Call it rules, call it guidelines, call it whatever you want, but you need certain thing to go by, to do, so people know how to approach me, especially how to avoid spoiling anything to me, which will be a very, very important thing. Yeah, I can say so far. If you want to do a collab with me for season 5, and you have a specific episode in mind, The very moment you spoil anything about this episode, out of principle, I will not do the collab with you. Just so I just have to come up with. I just have to implement this rule from the very beginning. Otherwise, people will be like, "Oh, the fifth episode will be such an awesome Discord episode. Yeah, I want to do it with you." And I will be like, "You asshole! I didn't want to know that this is a Discord episode." So, to avoid this, I have to go with an absolutely spoiler-free thingy. Hopefully it will turn out fine in a way that I get it managed to when to do a collab with whom without knowing anything, and I don't know. I still try to figure this out in the next few weeks, so this is just a special announcement for you my most faithful followers who even subscribe to this channel. Oh, I'm talking about spoilers and the live stream by Dr. Wolf. Also, awesome job, Dr. Wolf. The first question was, what do you expect about season 5? And I was really like, oh no, don't start like this. No. And I was tempted. I already had my hand hovering over my mouse to either skip forward into the video or whatever, or maybe even stop the video as a whole. Because I was really like, no, I don't. I'm nearly spoiler free. Somebody left a comment on a video by me today, and that's the thing with spoilers. I only need to read the first 3 or 4 words of a comment, and I already take something away from it. I have a very, very good memory when it comes to the series, shows, narrative, and so on. So if you mention a small detail to me, bing, it will stuck. It will be stuck, and because I try to forget it, it will be even more prominent in my mind. So I will not repeat it, so you guys don't suffer from the same thing. But somebody was like, "Oh well." If your ex, it was in reply to an old video of mine, and the person was just like, "Oh well, if you are waiting for this to happen," I didn't even need to lead any longer because, well, this person is probably talking about season 5. How much more often do I have to make videos and ask people not to spoil anything? Anyways, so great job, Dr. Wolf, avoiding it, giving a somehow answering the question without giving anything away. I watched it. I kept watching it because and giving him a benefit of a doubt because I know Dr. Wolf is very considerate of people. So and he pulled through. So great, thank you. I'm very thankful for that I did not have to stop, skip, or get anything spoiled. One last thing. Yeah, one last bigger thing is like. I mean, I am aware and knowing that both Tarek and Dr. Wolf are both very religious people, that they are very faithful, and I always try to be very considerate about it myself because often enough, with atheist people and religious people, it has the potential to blow up into everybody's faces often enough because, well, the one side. Oh, now I really have to phrase this diplomatically and not show my bias too much. On the one hand, you have people who have this deep faith in something. It's literally faith. They cannot know because. I mean, they can have the feeling of knowing because they have such deep faith, but they basically cannot. They cannot if they not experience it themselves. And even what a lot of religious people count as having something experienced, having had some kind of divine moment or whatever you call it, when they really have this experience of having felt God's presence. But because it is such a subjective thing, and we all know how subjective interpretation of the world works, as a skeptic person, you cannot relate to it. You cannot count this as proof. It is an absolutely subjective experience by definition. If you feel this thing, and I don't want to say that those people don't felt something, but the thing is, I'm very much from the sciencey end of thing, rationalism and so on. So I pretty much need proof, and on the other hand, if there are scientific explanations for things, I will go with those first. So as much as Tarek said it at some point, I know that there is somebody being there for you, and he was referring to God. As much as he honestly can say, I know that this is, I can, from my point of view, I can as honestly say, I know it isn't. Yeah, both are different sets of belief. Now, where I wanted to go and why I addressed this in the first place was that the question, I believe, has been about feeling lonely, even in a crowd. That you can be surrounded by people and still feel completely lonely and left out, and you have the feeling of being not connected, of being some kind of an outside observer, of being your own entity among these other things, like being a drop of oil in a sea of water, something like this. You are part of it, you are liquid yourself, but in the end you cannot connect whatsoever. And I know this feeling, and I was really looking forward to an answer that helps me. And Tarek's answer was, Tarek was like, hey, I know this feeling myself, I have it very often. And Tarek's answer was like, well, when I have this feeling, I remind myself that God is there for me. And I'm like, good for you, buddy, because this was not an answer that helped me. Because I'm like, my immediate response in my mind was like, no, there isn't. And so when I'm again in this alone situation, like, I mean, I just had it yesterday a little bit with a company event, which was like, people were in downtimes. People were creating groups and talking and whatnot. And for me, it was like handy smartphone. Sorry, we call the mobile phone in German handy, literally, like an English sounding word, spelled HANDY. German. This is. It's just so stupid. Trying to making up an English word that sounds English, and it's like with this one strip bags that are called body bags in Germany. It's like, stop naming everything English if you don't have if you can't use the right term. But yeah, back to the topic, and then I also want to wrap this up because this is getting long for my Veelox thingy. So yeah, I was really somehow looking forward to a question I can relate to myself, and even when Tarek says, with all honesty in his heart, like, I can promise you, you are not alone in this moment. It's like, this absolutely doesn't help me in my position, because I cannot believe the promise you give me. I believe that you're honest about it, but it doesn't help me. So I'm still going to be alone in this situation. I'm still going to feel alone. Because after years of thinking, I came to the conclusion, no, there is no God. At least not in the way he or she is depicted in any religion existing right now, or at least any I know of. But since all religions or religious books are written by man, there's always a kind of interpretation thingy going on, or the kind of limiting whatever is, assuming there is a God, whatever gets written down is limited by the perspective of the author, who is human. So if there actually is a superhuman being, in the literal sense of being something bigger than a human, something probably so big that a human cannot imagine it, it has to, if you write it down about, if you write any text about it, it loses a lot because it limits the entity that is there to what a human can actually compensate and write down. So therefore, I consider it impossible by definition to write a truthful book about a god. So therefore, I cannot believe in anything written about a deity, because, well, I know that, or at least not in a very literal sense, because I know there has been this kind of gatekeeper or this kind of unintentional censoring, simply by the fact that it has been written down by a human, limited by human words, and so on. So yeah, still looking for an answer how to not feel lonely in a crowd. Just wanted to say this because it was really like there were so many really interesting answers and ideas in reply to the questions the two brothers got asked. And this one was really because I was really interested in an answer. A little bit of disappointment for me that it was like, whoop, God, I'm probably starting to repeat myself at this point. I pretty much said what I wanted to say about it. Yeah, this is my kind of lengthy reply to the video or my feedback, whatever. Not feedback, not really. I'm not giving feedback. I could give feedback. Good job. Okay, now I've given even feedback. Anyways, we had a class in communications once in college, or I visited a class in communications, and there was a thing my professor said, which is a no-no when you hold a speech or something like this. And this is kind of this, I can't even recall the German term. So basically, to paraphrase what she said, she used a very graphic idea, which kind of worked for me. It was kind of like a motor not really being able to when a motor does a thing. And basically that at the end, when you made your point, when you made your case, instead of just babbling on, make a cut.